I'm officially 5 months pregnant with baby number 2, so here's an update and all the symptoms I've experienced for this month. Hey guys, I'm Marissa and welcome back to my channel. Like I said, I am pregnant with baby boy number 2 due in June 2022, and our first son Peter will turn 2 right before he's born. So we're super excited for this season, and I've been sharing monthly updates of my pregnancy here on my YouTube channel. With my first son Peter, I was sharing them every single week, which just kind of seemed like a lot. But if you want to check out those like weekly updates, I will leave a link to that up above. But here's a monthly update, and this covers weeks about 18 to 21. And I'll also give you a look at the bump shot, so stay tuned. Okay, first thing that I need to note as a symptom that I had this month, which was super weird, was like a hives kind of rash. When I was 19 weeks pregnant, all of a sudden, like on a Friday, I started getting this like itchy rash, and it was like hives like on my skin. I was like, oh, that's weird. And then I went to bed that night and was like so itchy, and then the next day was still having all of these hives, and it was like spreading to like all different parts of my body. And so I like took approved medicine for it and everything, but then, and that helped, but then once the medicine wore off, then I still felt it again, and it was like so uncontrollably itchy and just like hives, like welts, like all over my body. And I didn't want to be dramatic, but I hate when stuff like that happens like on a weekend. I like don't want to be the kind of person who has to call my OB on off hours, but I was then so concerned that I had this rash like all over my body that I actually called like the nurse line that came with our insurance. I don't know if your insurance does that, but I called the nurse line and talked to them about the issue and everything. And they were like, I think you need to call your doctor about this. And I was like, okay, fine. So I called my doctor's like after hours number, and she picked up. She's like the sweetest. I absolutely love her so much. And I felt so lame having to call the after hours number, because the only time I've called after hours has been for like more severe things, like when I was in labor in the middle of the night at like 1 a.m. and when I had mastitis at like, I don't know, 7 p.m. or something like that. I've had to call her for my previous delivery with my first son. But this time I called her being like, I have this weird rash, and she was super sweet and just like really reassured me. She was like, hives during pregnancy can be like for so many reasons, and it's like pretty common to like have this, and she was like, watch it, and you know, we'll figure out if there's like anything, if it gets worse or doesn't subside. So I felt better that she like relieved me of that. And she said that like one of the reasons could be just like stress related. So I will say that it was maybe like 5 to 7 days where it was like pretty severe and painful and itchy like all the time. And if like my skin would just get like touched like this, then it would immediately like turn red and then get hives and everything. So it was pretty bad. But that was now like 2.5 weeks ago, so I'm sitting down to film this, and I feel so much better. It's still there, maybe a little tiny bit, like if I really scratch at my skin, then it would like come up, but for the most part, it's like pretty much gone. And it was so weird. But I think that maybe the reason why for this was probably stress. I recently posted a video on my channel about like a life update and like what's been going on, and I was actually pretty like emotional in that video and just kind of like worked up. And I think I filmed that on Thursday, and then this happened, then the rash started on Friday. Like I was just had so much stress going on, so I've just been trying to like rest, relax, like take a chill. So that's, I think, been helpful, and the rash has been subsiding. So it was super weird, but hearing that like rashes during pregnancy can be common. I guess the hard part is that like a rash during pregnancy could mean something really serious, or a rash could be something else. So that's why I like wanted to check with my doctor, and I was definitely in contact with her about it, and everything was like totally fine. But that was just an interesting new thing for me. I didn't experience anything of that like severity at all with my first pregnancy, so that was a little bit crazy, but I'm grateful that that's now subsided. The next thing that I want to note as this little update is that I felt baby moving a lot more. So I have an anterior placenta, which means the placenta is on the front, and they say that a lot of times if you have an anterior placenta, it can take longer to feel baby move. I think I felt the tiniest little twinges of movement since maybe like 14 weeks, like very sporadically, not even every day. day. Just like sometimes if I'm laying down would feel a little something, but starting at like 20 weeks, I now consistently feel him like multiple times a day, usually when I'm sitting down or laying down. And so it's fun to like have that and be able to feel him, and just also gives me more of like that reassurance, I guess. So that has been a fun new part of pregnancy, and just always look forward to that time where you can like actually feel the baby move. And I feel like this is kind of the sweet spot where it's like, oh, cute, I get to feel him move, but not when he's like 37 weeks and just like moving all around and keeping you up at night because he is large and won't stop moving. So I feel like we're at the sweet spot right now of like the second trimester bliss. You know, also in regard to that second trimester bliss, I will say that I'm totally feeling that this time around, where my first pregnancy, I definitely didn't. As I've shared, and if you followed me back then, my first pregnancy, I had like really severe congestion for weeks 10 through 40, where it felt like I had a severe head cold for 30 weeks, and it was absolutely miserable. And so when I hit like second trimester, I was still just as miserable. I could barely sleep. I was going through like 200 tissues a day, couldn't breathe through my nose, and it was just miserable. And so I never felt like that second trimester like energy and like goodness, where I totally feel it now, and it's really nice. And my heart goes out to you if your pregnancy is not easy, because I was totally there last time and I was totally thinking that I'd have the same symptoms as my second pregnancy, and that has not been the case for me, and I'm really grateful. So besides that like super random rash that I had for like a week, this pregnancy has been so much easier, so much more mild, and I'm really grateful for that, especially as I'm chasing a toddler around as well. Another fun symptom that I've experienced is heartburn, which I feel like has gotten like more intense, but still definitely manageable with things that like my doctor has said that I can take and everything. So I try to like limit the amount of, you know, things that I take, but I've definitely felt some of that heartburn. I now am also really craving chocolate milk, which I remember wanting when I was pregnant with my first. And I don't know if it has anything to do with like the heartburn or like whatever, but I am not a milk drinker at all. But during pregnancy, I really do like milk, especially chocolate milk is like the best. So I try not to do too much of that, but chocolate milk is like where it's at, and I feel like it helps me with heartburn too. Another thing that I'll note is the sciatica pain, which I've shared about for I think the last few updates. I feel like it's gotten a little bit better. Honestly, it was like right around the time when my rash thing flared up that my sciatica then felt better. So I'm grateful for that. It's still definitely there, but not as bad as what it was. And then I also definitely have a bigger bump this time around, which I'll show you guys as well. And it's kind of fun to like have a bump now. But the funny thing is that I don't really feel like I need to like dress the bump that much, because I'm at home basically all the time. Whereas when I was pregnant with Peter, he was due May 2020. And so for up until like the last 2.5 months of my pregnancy, I was out and about going to work, doing all the things. So I was wearing all the like maternity pants and shirts and everything. But I just started wearing maternity jeans this last week, because I was like then going out and thought that I'd look more presentable if I was wearing jeans. But other than that, like whenever I'm home, I'm just wearing either maternity leggings, or I have these like Nike jogger pants that are like super loose and just basically like sweatpants and super comfy. So that's basically what I live in. So I'm now starting to actually wear like the maternity jeans, and that's been a fun new addition as well. I have not had my anatomy scan yet, and I'm kind of bummed, but I don't have it until I'm 22 weeks. So a week from today, when I'm filming this, I should have my anatomy scan, and I'm looking forward to seeing baby boy then, and hope that everything goes well for that. But all of my appointments have been like 2 weeks behind when I had them with Peter. So I'm kind of bummed that I have to wait so long to do the anatomy scan, but also I feel like it's going by a lot faster with this being my second pregnancy. Another little fun thing that we've done so far for baby is that we're now kind of starting to get room things figured out. So our plan will be to move my son Peter into another room in our house, and so we're kind of making that room, like getting that ready. So we like got his bed, I'm trying to get a dresser. It's been nearly impossible. I don't know if this is like this for you guys, but IKEA here in Portland is like out of dressers and like out of stock of everything all the time. So it's been so difficult to get stuff, like the supply chain issues everywhere. But we're trying to like get furniture and things like that for his room to start like making it up. And then the new baby will go into Peter's nursery, because I'm having another boy, so I'm not gonna like make a new nursery or anything like that. So we'll just keep that how it is, put baby boy in there after like, you know, a few months after he's in our room. But we're going to start making Peter's room up, and I don't plan to transition him to that new room until like the new baby's here for a few months, like give him that transition, and then we'll work on moving to the new room. So I'd like to keep him in the crib as long as possible, but I've shared this before, I don't want to have to buy another crib and a crib mattress when the boys would be like each in one for possibly like 6 months tops. So instead, I'm just going to move Peter over to like a regular floor bed or whatever a little bit sooner, and he should be doing that when he's about 2.5. So I'm hoping that timeline will work out, but it's fun to now start getting like that room ready for Peter and figuring out like how we want to decorate it and design it and everything. So that's been a fun new addition as well. Okay, let me show you that bump shot. All right, I guess I'm wearing black, so it might be a little bit harder to see, but definitely have this bump going on here. So 5 months, definitely it's really hard and getting bigger up at the top, more filling out as a bump rather than just like the lower pooch, you know. So there's the bump. So that is my update for this 5-month update. Let me know in the comments below how far along you are, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.
Did you ever stop